Well, welcome out there once again to my program. Always a pleasure to be here. We've got the panel show, and as you probably know if you've been watching, the panel show is a very interesting show in the sense that what we do is we talk about mostly the city issues. And if you've been following things lately, some of the issues confronting the citizens of Fall River and of course the voters at times bewildering. Now we've got the election for mayor coming up in a week or so. Well, actually in a week. That's December 16th. Never has there been an election, most people can recall, having taken place in December. On the 16th, it's just about 1 week before Christmas. Now most people have not paid attention. It's obvious based on conversations that have taken place, in the coffee shops, on the street, if you listen to the radio or TV, people are still a bit confused. But that's what's going to happen on the 16th. You're going to go to the polls, hopefully. You'll be able to vote. You have 8 candidates, and it'll determine on that one day who the next mayor or who the mayor will Mayor Flanagan remain, or will he be, what they say, recalled and a new mayor put in place. Now, there's been some discussion, of course, about that. And we're going to talk about that with my panelists, and also we're going to talk about the issue about the 7 acres at the landfill, which is a very curious development also. So, without any further explanation, CJ, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, Richard. It's always a pleasure to be here. I always have a good time on the show. Obviously, I'm one of the 3 parts of the unholy trinity of Fall River. One of our third legs is not here today, but I think it should be an interesting show, to say the least.
Good, good. And Dan, how's things going?
How you doing, Richard? We're doing good, you know.
You got here through the rainstorm?
Oh, absolutely.
Took the bus?
The real rainstorm was yesterday, which hindered me from going down to the people's debate, but I had a chance to view it right here on FRC, and it was, I thought it was very well done.
So where did that take place?
At the Morton Middle School, and kudos to my colleague CJ over here, and the third leg of the unholy trinity, Bob Chip Camara.
So, good turnout, rainy day.
It was a rainy day, but the one thing that people started calling it was the recallers debate. This had nothing to do with the recallers. This was the people's debate. And what we did was we put a message out there over Facebook and through any media outlet that would carry it, that we were looking for questions from you, the viewers, you, the citizens of Fall River. And we received a good chunk of questions that were picked at random, and we actually had to pick extras to put on the stage just in case, because what we were originally going to do was have the first half of the show be questions from the panelists, the second half just be questions from the citizens. Well, we started talking about that amongst ourselves, Chip and I, and amongst the moderator, Phil Paleologos. Thank you, Phil, for all your work last night, and Jess Machado and John Caracas Dominici, who represented the Spanish community. And they said, you know what, let's get away from our questions and let's just go with the citizens' questions. And we had a good chunk of them, and they were serious questions, and none of them were set to make any candidate look bad or to bag any candidate.
Now you had, did you have all the 8 candidates show up?
No, City Councilor Mike Mayoza chose not to attend. He tried to send a message to be read at the end of the debate, which the candidates that were on stage said that would be unfair to them, and so we allowed that to carry forth. But a message was given prior to the start of the debate that Councilor Mayoza could not be present because of his duties as a city councilor, and as such, he was not able to attend.
The other candidates showed up?
All 7 of them did, yes.
Okay.
So, and it was a really good and fair event. We had asked Bill Rapley and Mark Curtis and several other big news names come, but their stations wouldn't allow them to come because they weren't sponsoring the event, and they felt that it would influence the event too much. But they showed up. and they said, honestly, our producers and our station ownership felt that this would result in a forum that would absolutely just, be a debacle for the mayor. And it's like, that was the fairest thing we've ever seen. So it was kind of interesting, to say the least. So, but we had a good time after all. And you have to appreciate it. It wasn't easy. I mean, and again, there's debates last night, which was Tuesday, tonight, which is Wednesday, at the BK's restaurant up at the airport, and then on Thursday, back at Morton, which is being put on by the Herald News. And even the Herald News showed up and they said this was a great event. It couldn't have been any fairer.
Okay, so you had those forums. Now, an issue that's come pretty much alive. I'm going to pick up from something you might call a little old business. The Amazon agreement, which apparently has not been completely finalized, as I know, my information is correct. Now they're talking about creating not only 800 good-paying jobs. Now it's up to 1,000 good-paying jobs, and also the land. It seems that the land that they're going to locate on, that aspect has not been settled as to the ownership of that land. Is that correct, Dan?
Well, let's be clear, Richard. From the very beginning, it was my understanding that it was always allegedly 1,000 jobs. Okay, that's number one. Number two, there are no guarantees as to where the jobs are coming from, no guarantees for Fall River residents. And to me, it's my understanding that this is not even a done deal that they're going to locate here. So the whole thing, I think, is and was a diversion as to the current events that are going on. Would it be nice if they went here? Yeah, but it would have been nice before we gave them a 15-year TIF if we had some guarantees about jobs, and we don't. This is another sweet deal for the company with no guarantees for Fall River residents, drafted and produced by the unholy Ken Fiola and the Office of Economic Disaster. And the way to rectify this is to have the city council put some kind of an ordinance into play that demands, before we give a TIF agreement, we have ironclad guarantees for Fall River residents, jobs and contractors and labor, and all the things we don't have right now.
Well, what was brought out by one member of the redevelopment board is that this is just a gigantic warehouse. This land was never put aside to locate a warehouse. It was supposed to be for the what's called biotech industry. And having a warehouse on this land is not what the land was set aside for to begin with. And they're going to be taking up practically 1/3 of this land. What seems to be the problem in that respect? The initial aspect of the land and what it was going to be used for has changed.
Well, the problem that I have with this whole thing, and again, I have to say very clearly to the viewers and to the people of Fall River, I am not against jobs for Fall River. I am not against Amazon coming to Fall River.
Nor am I. Let me make that clear for the record.
Right, for the record.
I have a big problem with the structure of the TIF.
Well,
Right.
Meditech wanted to locate on that land. Now, they claimed that they were going to create about 600 good, high-paying jobs. They have a record, and I don't think Meditech got a TIF in the other parcel that they have.
Somebody wasn't paid off. I mean, I'm going to be honest about it. Here's the problem we have. The Redevelopment Authority is and has been an organization which is empowered by legislation with a lot of authority that cannot be circumvented by the City Council. The Fall River Office of Economic Destruction is contracted by the city. no matter who puts in a bid for that contract, the Office of Economic Destruction gets that contract. The CDA funds the Economic Development Office to the tune of $384,000 a year with no proofs whatsoever of their effectiveness.
Which is kind of interesting if you think about it, because how is the Office of Economic Disaster over the course of its lifespan, how is that improved Fall River?
It hasn't.
Well, I think,
But here's the problem with this
I understand
deal.
what you're saying. I think we've talked about that
Right.
many, many times.
And we've beat it to death.
Yeah.
But the
But
problem
the
that we
thing
have
is
with this deal,
actually, a member of the Redevelopment Authority on camera during a meeting questioned the reason why a warehouse would be set there on that land when all the while that land was supposed to be for a bio type companies that have not been attracted, and that what is happening is that they're falling back on a lesser type of company to locate there. And the other question that was raised by a board member is, initially that land was supposed to be valued at $50,000 an acre. We're talking about 100 acres of land. Now, is there going to be a sale of this land? And that's what he also was questioning.
well, this is going to be the same way it's been done in the past. First off, Amazon has said emphatically, and I have the emails to prove it for you people out there who think I'm totally against this deal. I have the emails to prove it from Mike Grella and Amazon directly that say they do not purchase land. They do not purchase buildings. So right off the bat, the TIF was a lie. But it wasn't a lie, because in the TIF it says that that Amazon plans to hire or contract with a private developer.
Now, the question, though, that was raised by a board member, who's buying the land, and are they paying what the land per acre was valued at by the Redevelopment Authority at $50,000 an acre?
Historically, the Redevelopment Authority has not sold any properties in this city for their face value. Historically, they've given them away. And you can go back to when the Redevelopment Authority was created.
I'm not doubting what you're saying, but what I'm just getting at is even the board, some members of the board have raised questions about this transaction.
Well, and the bigger transaction question is this: how can you take all these acres of land, which were supposed, as you brought up, were supposed to be set aside for biodevelopment, and then midway through, you turn around and you say, oh no, 50% of that land was set aside for warehouses, conveniently. Now, I remember this when it went through, and they said it was all biodevelopment.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be a life sciences park.
Yeah, 300 acres. Matter of fact, when the mayor was discussing whether or wanted a casino to be located there, that was questioned because that had nothing to do with what the land was set aside for originally. So we get right back to it with this warehouse business and having Amazon there.
I'm going to put it bluntly, Richard. They've decided to let them locate there, I guess, because I heard the question, and I believe it was Mr. Rayum that asked it as one of the board members of the Redevelopment Authority, and I've seen that meeting several times rebroadcast, and I do not understand Mr. Fiola's answer, and I must say, I think that's by design.
Of course it is. It always is.
Okay, I just wanted...
No, we understand where you're coming from, but this is always the way it is. The people of Fall River get screwed every time you turn around from the lies from the people that are supposed to be looking out for the people.
Okay, good. I wanted to get that out there because I think that's an important aspect of Amazon and that agreement. Now, the other thing that's come about to the forefront, because it's something that has been discussed months ago, and that's the 7 acres at the landfill. Now, let me give the audience a little background as I know it. There's 7 acres of land there in close proximity or abutting the landfill that's supposed to be closed. Now, these 7 acres are owned by 2 companies. And what has come out in regards to 7 acres is that there's been illegal or hazardous waste dumping on those 7 acres. And no one knows exactly what the landfill or those 7 acres hold. There was a report by a trucker, and he said that he trucked 55-gallon drums to those 7 acres and just dumped them there years and years ago. We don't know what's in the drums. It could have been something that is very innocuous, or it could have been, you know, who knows?
Jimmy Hoffa's body.
You know, what goes into 55-gallon drums. So now here's the part that gets to be very you know, unusual in a sense. The 2 companies that own the 7 acres have said this. They will donate the 7 acres to the city of Fall River, provided that they're not held liable for any of the cleanup. And it seems that the city of Fall River has welcomed this suggestion with open arms. In other words, to take 7 acres of land, which is 7 acres of land, even a minimal value per acre is still, you know, a good amount of money.
About $225,000, $250,000.
And the companies don't want the land. We'll give it to you, they say. And the city saying, okay, fine, we'll take this land. And provided or in agreement that BFI will cap this land. Now, here's the question that I'm going to raise, and it's this. Now, if the city owns the land, if it accepts the gift, they write up a deed, they own the 7 acres, and apparently there will be an agreement that the companies are never held liable for anything that's in that land. So once the city becomes the owner, they're going to accept the liability of what's in that land. Now, if they're going to have a contractor, because they keep saying BFI, but the question is raised to you, and that is, shouldn't they go out to bid?
Yes. By law, they have to, actually.
But are they skirting the law? Because they've never said anything about having this go out to bid. And usually, when it comes to work on city land, if you had if city had a piece of land, they wanted to build a warehouse, they would put this out to bid, an RFP. What seems to be the rush here, and why isn't this going out to bid?
This is Fall River. We make our own law. That's the first thing.
Violation of the law.
Of course, but this is Fall River. We make our own law. And this is what people don't understand.
Just like what they wanted to do with the biopark land when locating a casino, they never went out to bid. 10 taxpayers got together.
Right, and stopped it.
Took the case to court, and the judge stopped it. You think that might happen here?
Well, I think one of the biggest problems we have is this. Part of the deal, which nobody's really talking about, is that first off, the city takes the land. There's a 21-day proposal, but they had yesterday on the agenda for the city council to accept it and issue the deeds. There's a 21-day period that the citizens get time to put some input in. But you know why the city said, let's just get it approved now? Because the idiots in Fall River don't send letters, opposing it. And I'm sorry, people of Fall River, but it's the truth. You don't care. Let's be real.
And there was no hearing about this.
There was a hearing. There was a hearing.
Okay.
That's what they called the hearing. I believe you and I were both there for that hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
The Subcommittee of Environmental Affairs served as the public hearing for
forum.
this event.
Okay, this was months ago?
This
Nope.
was within the last 2 to 3 weeks.
Right, because it's 21 days from that date,
And there was a
which I
public
believe is today, isn't it?
I'm not sure.
And it was open to a public hearing?
Yes.
All right. So, anyone show up, say anything?
There
If you know?
that I saw, and I did not stay for the whole thing. There was City Administrator Viveras giving the city's position.
But was anyone from the public?
I saw Joe Cavallo and one other person whose name escapes me at this minute. Might have been Jim Soul.
All right.
But you know, this is the problem.
The thing is, it's not apparently slated to go out to bid.
Right.
So in other words, BFI has been chosen. And in other words, a company or another company could be, could come in on a lower bid, because they're going to cap the land. They're going to have people who have this debris to get rid of.
But here's why they didn't send it out to bid. This is their explanation. BFI has got to cap the landfill anyhow. So in the process of capping that landfill, they will cap this 7 acres of land, and they will put it under their responsibility. Now, the part of the agreement which the people of Fall River are ignorant to, the part of the agreement that the city council doesn't seem to want to care about, is that this will be filled with what they call urban fill. That means anything. That could be construction debris, they're just going to dump it there, and then they're going to cap that off. And, now here's the proviso, which nobody talks about, providing...
So if this comes from Freetown, you can't take it?
It doesn't matter where it comes from. But here's the deal. If the amount of money generated, so again, we're looking at somebody generating money. If the amount of money
You're gonna
generated
charge the haulers
by,
so much.
by accepting this urban fill, this landfill debris,
Truckload or a ton.
the city will be
charge.
responsible for the unmet dollar requirements.
Okay.
So again, we're going to sign a contract
For the difference.
where we have
Now,
no...
And by the way, we have no idea what that difference is going to be.
Exactly.
We have no idea of what the possible exposure is to the city.
And that seems to be a question in regards to the fact that these two companies are willing to donate the land. In other words, they want to just get rid of it.
Yep.
Now, they could, I imagine, have this land capped themselves. They could hire someone, a company. Matter of fact, they could hire BFI and say, look, you're in a business of hauling trash, etc. There's 7 acres we have. You know, you charge whoever wants to get rid of their material and just put it on top of our land. And they retain the 7 acres,
Right.
which must have some value.
But the problem is, they also retain the liability for whatever's in that land.
That's the point.
Okay?
That's the point where the city is accepting a pig in a poke.
Well, here's the thing. Let's look at everything the city has done over the past couple of years. Every school property that we've sold has contained asbestos and other hazardous materials. We have never once paid for the remediation because the city has illegally sold those lands without remediating, with indemnity clauses. So much so now that we're stuck with a police station that nobody wants because of the remediation costs, and the city's looking for a way to get rid of that without paying the remediation costs. The city is always looking to shaft somebody because the law does not apply to
They
them.
had an opportunity.
I'll tell you what, they made a big mistake years ago not turning that over to Tony Cordero.
Yeah.
Some argued that his bid of $25,000 was low at the time. I remember having vigorous discussions with this.
But the other bidder was only what, $35,000?
Yeah, well, the fact of the matter
In the
is,
city.
you can say whatever you want about Tony Cordero. As a developer, the projects he's developed in this city always come out looking reputable and well done.
But again, the people are asking, at what expense to the people of Fall River are those projects done? And I understand that to make money, you got to spend a little money, okay? But it is not the right of the private developer, whether that be Tony Cordero, First Bristol Corp., or any other developer, Cardi's or whoever, to spend the taxpayers' money on their development, such as new sidewalks and new roads around your buildings. That's not our responsibility.
I agree.
You bought it, you built it, you pay for it.
All right, let's get to a more attractive issue. What's going on with the 22 windows that mysteriously were removed from the 6th floor and new ones were installed?
Nobody knows.
I have no idea. I haven't heard
The
anything.
mayor says that the recallers are costing the city $60,000 because of the special election. Yet there's 22 windows that no one has any idea how they got installed on a 6th floor where the mayor has an office. 22 windows, 22 brand new windows. Scaffolding was put up 6 stories high. There was no building permit pulled out. There was no contract drawn up. The city administrator at the time had no idea how it all took place. The director of community maintenance, who was responsible for that building, has no idea, he said, how it took place. How could this mysteriously have happened? What is the what is the outcome of this?
Well, you know, they're using that new material. You know, the new staging, you don't see it. It's invisible, okay? And the windows, they just miraculously appear because they go through the invisible material and get put up. You know, enough with the jokes, but, I mean, that's what they expect us to believe because, you know, honestly, this has become the biggest joke in the state.
The contractor, so-called, got the job, who owes the city $700,000, $800,000 in taxes.
With no insurance.
Now, people are complaining about $60,000 for a special election, a recall election, which is part of the law. I mean, this is not anything that is, you might say, uncalled for, like a surprise expense, like $1 million lost in regards to Dominion because, well, someone just didn't make a phone call to the court. What kind of diversion or what kind of type of look the other way is going on here?
Well, this is what you call diversionary tactics from the 6th floor because, again, you're in the middle of multiple criminal investigations, multiple civil infractions, and now, you know, you've got ethics and every other agency in the state down here looking over everything you're doing. But you're still saying to the people that you're honest and I feel your pain? I mean, come on, let's be real. 22 windows should not be that hard to find, okay? There's paperwork on it somewhere.
When Mr. Kadim announced his candidacy as a candidate in the recall election, he stated that he gave a full statement to the Fall River Police Department on this issue. Has anybody read that? Has it become public?
No, it hasn't. Because again, remember,
Do you know if there's any investigation going on at this point?
we have no idea.
I don't know.
We have no idea.
I only know that Mr. Kadim said that he gave a full statement to the police department.
Okay, well, apparently the subcontractor received a bogus check for $50,000, so I imagine he is still involved somehow. Well, gentlemen, we're down to the end. I want to wish everyone, well, we'll be here next week anyway for one more show before the holidays. CJ, any prediction?
Well, we'll be here the day after the special election, and boy, will that be a show and a half. But I'm telling you, it's going to be a Christmas gift for somebody because 10 days later, the election is certified. So on the 26th, we either have a new mayor or the same mayor. God help us.
Any prediction, Dan?
No, just vote on the 16th and look forward to discussing the results and all the intricacies around this election after it's completed.
Yeah. So remember, people out there, the 16th, on the first part of the ballot, you're going to vote yes to recall or no, don't recall. And you'll go to the second part of the ballot anyway. And you'll vote for a candidate. Take a good look at that ballot. Remember, it's in alphabetical order. You only have one vote. So you don't need to start, you know, at the top or in the middle. You can look at the whole ballot first. Give yourself a little time and pick a candidate. But that's on the 16th. So get out there and do your best. Thank you for watching. And I thank my guests for being on the show. I'll see you next week. And we'll have some interesting things to talk about. So, see you next time.
By my calculations, the next panel, unless we do a special the week after, the day after the election, I don't know what you got booked.
Well, maybe I should